Hello friends, welcome back to our channel Lit Horizon. Today we can discuss the poem The Raven written by Edgar Allen Poe. Before entering to the poem, please like and subscribe our channel. First of all, we can discuss about the poet Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe is regarded as the father of short stories and he is a Gothic writer. He is famous for his mystery, horror, and suspense tale, and he is the originator of modern crime novel. And he is mainly influenced by the writer Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And his poem The Raven is dedicated to Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and it is written in 1845 in Evening Mirror. And the poem The Raven is an example for dramatic monologue as well as the dramatic irony. The poem follows complex rhythm and meter, and it is borrowed from Elizabeth Barrett's work Lady Geraldine's Courtship. Talking raven is used as an imagery or symbol in this poem, and this is taken from Charles Dickens' novel Barnaby Rudge, subtitled A Tale of the Riots of 80. Setting of the poem is a chamber house in midnight. And speaker in this poem is a scholarly young man who tried to read books in front of him, and he is thinking about his lost lover or wife, and the name of the wife or lover is Lenore. Coming to the summary of the poem, poet says, it is a late dreary night and our speaker is reading wide old books and feeling weak and weary, and he was napping while reading books and his head was nodding. Suddenly, he heard a tapping sound at his chamber door. He feared by hearing this tapping sound. Then he consoled his mind by saying that it might be some visitor. I think we all had such kind of experience while doing something in late night alone. And here it was a bleak December light, and even the fire is going out, and the last call of the dying embers are making the ghost like shadows on the floor. And the room almost starts to feel haunted. And he wishes to become tomorrow, but it was of way. And in next lines, he explains what is his real problem for his depression. He lost his lover or wife, Lenore. In order to forget the sorrow of his lost Lenore, he tried to read books. The young man says, the Lenore is rare and radiant, but now her name is uttered only by the angel, and she don't have a name in the mortal world. This means Lenore is no more. His thoughts about Lenore was disturbed by the fluttering sound of curtains. By hearing this sound, his head filled with fantastic terrors. His heart starts to beat faster, and he told himself that the knocking sound he had heard is just a late visitor, or at least not the kind of visitor he might be expecting. He regained his courage and decided to open the door. He addressed the visitor as sir or madam because he don't know whether it is a man or woman. Then he seek apology from the visitor that he was napping and he did not hear the knocking sound because it was a gentle sound. With a fear, he opened the door in the darkness, but he didn't find anyone. He entered into the darkness and stood there with fear and wonder, and he doubts whether he was dreaming, and he thinks he was dreaming dreams that no mortal ever dreamed before. And it was silence and darkness there. In the silence, he heard the echo of the word Lenore. Later, he realized that the word Lenore was uttered by himself. He turns from the darkness, but it is clear that he is not comfort at all. Again he heard the sound of tapping. Now the sound of knocking was louder, but now the sound was heard near the window lattice. not from the chamber door. With courage, he opened the window and he saw a raven. It is not just like any other raven, it is impressive and it is stately raven. And the raven made the speaker to think of older, nobler times. This raven entered to his chamber room soon after the window opened, without saying hi or make a gesture of greeting. Bird acts like an aristocrat and sit at the chest of the statue of god Pallas. Pallas is an ancient god in Greek mythology, and he is Titan and most powerful god. But he could not protect his reputation from the anger of a woman. The goddess Athena kills him. Like Pallas, here the narrator is also desperate because of a woman. Next, the narrator describes the bird raven. He says, this bird had a dark, serious appearance, and this bird is not a coward because it is traveling in dark, dreary night. Poet compares raven to Plutonian. Plutonian is an underground ruler. This adjective is used to make us to think about dark, scary, and hellish things. Narrator here tries to make a conversation with the bird raven. Narrator asks raven its name, but raven replied as Nevermore. The speaker was surprised to hear the birds talk. Its reply, nevermore or nothing more, is not relevant. It does not have any meaning. But he is delighted because no one ever will had such an experience that a bird speaks to a human. Then the speaker addressed the bird or beast sitting upon the statue as nevermore. The raven that sat on the chest of the statue palace only uttered the word nevermore. The bird keeps quiet and the speaker turned into depressed mood. Then he thinks that there might be many raven which had flown before through this room. And this raven will also flew away tomorrow. But he wishes this bird to be with him because with the arrival of raven, the speaker forgot Lenore. Then speaker asked the bird, is it going to leave him tomorrow? The bird replied, nevermore. The bird only knows the one bird and uses it for every situation. He tells himself a story about how the raven might have learned the word nevermore. He imagines that the bird had a really depressed former owner who is a merchant whose life was a failure. So all he said was nevermore. So Raven only learned this word from his owner. That's why the raven replied always nevermore to the speaker. Then speaker decides to observe the bird by sitting on a cushion in front of the bird. He thinks, what does the scary ancient looking bird meant with the one bird nevermore? And whether the bird or its word had any connection with Lenore, his lady love. The speaker became afraid by seeing the fiery eyes of the raven. His bottom of the heart starts beating. Poet gives some details of the room here. They are rich and luxurious with velvet cushion, but the lamplight and velvet cushion pulls him back to his old obsession. He remembers that Lena will never sit on this cushion again and that she really gone forever. Speaker imagines that the air in the chamber room is filled with perfume from an invisible censer, and the room was haunted by angels. He even hears their footsteps on the carpet. He tells himself that this angel was sent by God to help him to forget Leonard. He compares this perfume to nepenthe, a mythological drink that was supposed to comfort grieving people. He tells himself to drink nepenthe and forget Leonard. and he asked the bird that, "Can he forget Lenore?" Then Raven replied, "Nevermore." This implies speaker can't forget Lenore. Then speaker addressed the bird as a prophet and said, the bird might be the representative of God or evil. He doubts whether the bird was sent by the tempter or it has just been blown by storm because it only uttered the word nevermore. Then speaker talks about the strangeness of the bird because the bird is alone at the desert, but it is not afraid. Then speaker asks the bird whether there is any hope in future he could meet Leonard. But the bird replied, "Nevermore." Then speaker again asked the bird, will he meet his love Leonard at heaven? But the bird replied, "Nevermore." The speaker became angry by hearing the word nevermore from the bird. So he told the bird to go away from him and told the bird to go back to the storm or Plutonian shore. And he tells him to not to leave any trace, not even a feather, and leave him to loneliness. He tells the raven to get off the statue and go to hell. But the raven replied, "Nevermore." Raven didn't left, it still sat on the statue. Many Gothic elements can be seen in this poem. So, thank you for watching our video. Bye.